Question 1. In authenticating a vintage Chanel bag, a key change in the logo design over time must be considered. Which of the following would be a red flag for a Chanel flap bag said to be from the early 1980s? A slight tilt in the interlocking CS. B. Perfectly aligned and overlapping CS. C. Minor uneven stitching on the CC logo. D. Gold plating wearing off near the clasp. Correct answer: B. Perfectly aligned and overlapping CS. Explanation: early 1980s Chanel bags often had slight imperfections in CC alignment. Perfect overlap is a modern feature. Thus, it's a red flag for vintage claims. Question 2. Which of the following most accurately identifies an authentication point that evolved for Hermes bags in the early 2000s? A. Addition of serial numbers on hardware. B. Usage of blind stamps to indicate year and craftsman. C. Holographic stickers inside the lining. D. Zipper pull replaced with leather tabs. Correct answer: B. Usage of blind stamps to indicate year and craftsman. Explanation: Hermes introduced blind stamps with year codes and artisan marks, essential for authenticating bags post-2000. Question 3. Sarah is authenticating a Louis Vuitton Speedy 30 bag claimed to be from 1995. Upon inspection, she notices the date code reads SD4195, and the zipper pull features a modern logo font. What should Sarah conclude? A. The bag is authentic, matching production codes. B. The bag is suspicious because the font and code style mismatch. C. The bag must be vintage, as date codes started in 1990s. D. The bag is real, but the zipper was replaced later. Correct answer: B. The bag is suspicious because the font and code style mismatch. Explanation: date code SD4195 suggests April 1995, but modern font use on 1995 items is inconsistent. It's a counterfeit indicator. Question 4. When evaluating Van Cleef & Arpels jewelry, what hallmark or stamping detail most reliably indicates authenticity? A. Hand-etched serial numbers only. B. Clear and centered VCA hallmark and metal purity stamp. C. Use of holographic stickers. D. Absence of any hallmark on vintage pieces. Correct answer: B. Clear and centered VCA hallmark and metal purity stamp. Explanation: authentic VCA jewelry always includes precise hallmarks and purity stamps. Absence or poor stamping suggests counterfeit. Question 5. Which luxury watch feature is most commonly faked in counterfeit Rolex watches? A. The oyster case. B. Movement smoothness and perpetual sweep. C. Dial color variety. D. Screw-down crown gasket. Correct answer: B. Movement smoothness and perpetual sweep. Explanation: fake Rolexes often poorly imitate the perpetual sweep movement, usually using quartz ticking instead. Question 6. Michael is asked to authenticate a Cartier Love bracelet. He notices the screws are unevenly set and the bracelet feels lighter than expected. How should he proceed? A. Confirm it's authentic as Cartier allows minor variances. B. Reject authenticity due to screw and weight inconsistencies. C. Ignore the weight but request provenance. D. Certify based on serial number presence alone. Correct answer: B. Reject authenticity due to screw and weight inconsistencies. Explanation: Cartier standards are extremely strict. Screw misalignment and incorrect weight are immediate red flags. Question 7. In jewelry authentication, why is it risky to rely solely on the presence of hallmarks? A. Hallmarks cannot be replicated. B. Counterfeiters often fake or forge hallmarks. C. Hallmarks are easily removed and reapplied. D. Hallmarks are irrelevant for authentication. Correct answer: B. Counterfeiters often fake or forge hallmarks. Explanation: fake hallmarks are common. Authenticators must cross-verify craftsmanship and material in addition to hallmarks. Question 8. When authenticating luxury goods, what is the primary purpose of using UV light? A check for visible ink printing errors. B. Detect hidden marks or security threads invisible to the naked eye. C. Identify metal purity levels. D. See craftsmanship details. Correct answer: B. Detect hidden marks or security threads invisible to the naked eye. Explanation: UV light reveals hidden elements like watermarks and special threads that are invisible under regular light. Question 9. Julia is inspecting a Hermes Kelly bag and notes a strange smell, heavy stiffness, and an oddly bright orange color. What should Julia's next step be? A. Validate the bag based on its dust bag and packaging. B. Proceed to material testing and UV inspection. C. Assume authenticity due to color alone. D. Rely only on the blind stamp for verification. Correct answer: B. Proceed to material testing and UV inspection. Explanation: smell and color discrepancies warrant further inspection. UV and material analysis are crucial next steps. Question 10. Which counterfeit detection technique is most effective for detecting fake Louis Vuitton damier canvas patterns? A. Smelling the bag. B. Measuring square alignment and print clarity. C. Weighing the hardware only. D. Inspecting the dust bag logo. Correct answer: B. Measuring square alignment and print clarity. Explanation: authentic damier squares have consistent sizing and sharp clarity. Misalignments reveal counterfeits. Question 11. In the counterfeit market, which trend is most alarming for authenticators today? A. Better packaging replicas. B. Poor quality knockoffs. C. Slow improvement of fakes. D. Reliance on physical stores only for fake goods. Correct answer: A. Better packaging replicas. Explanation: high-end counterfeiters increasingly perfect packaging details, making authentication harder. Question 12. Kevin is authenticating a pre-owned Patek Philippe Nautilus. He finds the bracelet slightly rattles and the date window looks off-centered. How should Kevin interpret this? A. Accept minor flaws in pre-owned watches. B. Consider it a fake. Patek's QC tolerates no alignment issues. C. Certify based on overall bracelet appearance. D. Ignore the date window and inspect only the movement. Correct answer: B. Consider it a fake. Patek's QC tolerates no alignment issues. Explanation: authentic Patek watches have perfect alignment and tight bracelet assembly. Imperfections suggest counterfeit. Question 13. For Rolex watches, where is the serial number engraved after 2007? A. Caseback inside. B. Clasp of the bracelet. C. Rehaut inner bezel. D. Side of the lug. Correct answer: C. Rehaut inner bezel. Explanation: post-2007, Rolex moved serial engravings to the rehaut for better security and harder counterfeiting. Question 14. In authenticating exotic leather, what primary factor distinguishes genuine python skin? A. Uniform scale pattern throughout. B. Natural irregularities in scale shapes. C. Absence of pores or texture. D. Bright, unnatural color tones. Correct answer: B. Natural irregularities in scale shapes. Explanation: authentic python has uneven scales with natural variations. Fake leather usually mimics uniformity. Question 15. Amanda is reviewing an authentic, vintage Dior saddle bag. The canvas feels unusually rough, and the font inside is slightly bolder than expected. What should Amanda suspect? A. Normal wear and tear from vintage use. B. Possible counterfeit due to material and font issues. C. Dior's vintage bags were rougher in earlier collections. D. Font variations happen between seasons. Correct answer. B. Possible counterfeit due to material and font issues. Explanation. Canvas texture and logo font are key authenticity points. Mismatches often signal fakes. Question 16. When authenticating a vintage Cartier Love bracelet, which aspect is most critical to verify its authenticity compared to newer models? A. Presence of a newer screw system. B. Font and engraving depth on the bracelet. C. Presence of a holographic sticker. D. RFID chip embedded in the metal. Correct answer. B. Font and engraving depth on the bracelet. Explanation. Vintage Cartier pieces did not have modern technologies like holograms or RFID. Authenticators must focus on older engraving styles and subtle engraving depths. A genuine vintage bracelet will show hand-applied fonts that are deeper and less uniform compared to laser precision engravings of newer models. Understanding the production evolution is crucial. Question 17. In verifying a Louis Vuitton monogram canvas handbag from the 1990s, what leather aging sign helps confirm authenticity? A. Leather turning darker brown without stickiness. B. Leather staying pale and unchanged. C. Leather peeling and cracking excessively. D. Leather becoming sticky and glossy. Correct answer. A. Leather turning darker brown without stickiness. Explanation. Louis Vuitton uses untreated vachetta leather, which oxidizes naturally and darkens to a honey brown over time. Fakes often use coated leather that remains pale or cracks unnaturally. Proper patina is a sign of authentic vachetta leather aging. Question 18. Ms. Ramirez brings a Hermes Birkin bag claiming it's authentic. During inspection, you notice the stamp on the bag's inner flap is slightly crooked, and the stitching on the handle looks uneven. Ms. Ramirez insists it was a handmade error. What should be your professional course of action? A. Immediately authenticate based on brand prestige. B. Accept minor flaws as signs of handmade authenticity. C. Flag the inconsistencies and request additional provenance. D. Ignore visual flaws and focus only on paperwork. Correct answer. C. Flag the inconsistencies and request additional provenance. Explanation. Even handcraftsmanship at Hermes maintains strict quality. Crooked stamps and uneven stitching are red flags. Authenticators must document findings and seek further proof like original purchase receipts or request Hermes authentication without assuming authenticity. Question 19. Which authentication step is least reliable when examining luxury sneakers? A. Comparing the SKU and style code. B. Checking the sole pattern consistency. C. Verifying price compared to retail. D. Inspecting stitching alignment. Correct answer. C. Verifying price compared to retail. Explanation. Price alone is never a definitive authentication method. Counterfeiters often sell fake sneakers at market value. Physical and stylistic checks, like stitching and code verification, provide tangible evidence. Question 20. Which is a hallmark exclusive to Van Cleef and Arpels jewelry? A serial code hidden inside the clasp. B. VCA with French hallmarks and purity stamps. C. Cartier engraved near the gemstone. D. Open-back gemstone setting. Correct answer. B. VCA with French hallmarks and purity stamps. Explanation. Van Cleef and Arpels jewelry always features VCA accompanied by French gold or platinum hallmarks. These help verify both brand and metal authenticity. Cartier engraves its brand differently, and open backs are not exclusive to VCA. Question 21. When authenticating an exotic skin Hermes handbag, Which documentation is legally essential under international trade law? A proof of purchase receipt. B. Certificate of authenticity. C. CITES certificate. D. RFID registration. Correct answer, C. CITES certificate. Explanation. The Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, CITES, requires certification for products made with exotic skins like crocodile. Without it, sale and export are often illegal. Question 22. Why is stitching count critical in authenticating a Chanel classic flap bag? A more stitches increase durability against fakes. B. Stitch count relates to production date. C. Stitch count is required for warranty claims. D. Stitch count matches the leather source. Correct answer. A more stitches increase durability against fakes. Explanation. Authentic Chanel flaps have high stitch counts per inch, 9+ stitches, which ensure structure and discourage sagging. Lower stitch counts are common in counterfeits aiming for faster production. Question 23. When verifying a Patek Philippe watch, which feature is most telling? A. Movement, engraving, and finishing. B. Dial color vibrancy. C. Weight difference between models. D. Brightness of the lume. Correct answer. A. Movement, engraving, and finishing. Explanation. Patek Philippe hand finishes their movements meticulously with Geneva seal quality. This aspect is incredibly hard to counterfeit. Lume, weight, and dial colors are secondary indicators. Question 24. Mr. Collins brings a Gucci Marmont bag for resale authentication. Upon inspection, you notice the double G logo seems unusually thick, and the leather feels plasticky. What is your best action? A. Confirm authenticity by logo alone. B. Authenticate based on leather texture only. C. Perform full inspection and cross-check serial and date codes. D. Approve authentication based on brand tags. Correct answer. C. Perform full inspection and cross-check serial and date codes. Explanation. Logo shape and leather feel are red flags, but thorough authentication also requires verifying internal serial codes, stitching, and production stamps. Multiple checkpoints minimize error. Question 25. Which characteristic is typical of counterfeit luxury watches using display back deception? A. Display back shows wrong type of movement. B. Case back is heavier than original. C. Serial number is missing on case back. D. Crystal glass has fogging issues. Correct answer. A display back shows wrong type of movement. Explanation. Many fakes use visible case backs to show off movements, but they often use generic mechanical or quartz movements instead of genuine Swiss craftsmanship. Movement matching is key. Question 26. Which material would suggest a fake when found on a Louis Vuitton monogram canvas bag? A. Vachetta leather. B. Coated canvas. C. Plastic or synthetic trim. D. Oxidized brass hardware. Correct answer. C. Plastic or synthetic trim. Explanation. Louis Vuitton uses natural materials like vachetta and brass. Plastic trims indicate cost-cutting typical in counterfeits. Question 27. Why is hologram sticker authentication alone insufficient for Chanel bags? A. Stickers degrade naturally over time. B. Holograms are only on new models. C. Holograms guarantee lifetime authenticity. D. Holograms match dust bag codes. Correct answer. A. Stickers degrade naturally over time. Explanation. Older Chanel bags can lose or have damaged hologram stickers. Authentication must cross-reference serial codes, craftsmanship, and materials for full proof. Question 28. Ms. Liu submits a Tiffany & Co. Platinum Engagement ring for evaluation. You see a hallmark reading PT 950, but it's slightly off-centered and faint. What should you conclude? A. Faint hallmarks are normal. Authenticate immediately. B. Centered and clean hallmarks are essential. Request additional testing. C. Minor hallmark flaws are expected in handmade rings. D. Ignore hallmark positioning. Focus on diamond 4CS only. Correct answer. B. Centered and clean hallmarks are essential. Request additional testing. Explanation. Tiffany hallmarks are precisely aligned and sharply stamped. Off-center or faint stamps are suspicious, and further metallurgical testing is appropriate. Question 29. Which guideline is critical when authenticating documentation provenance for luxury goods? A. Only the receipt date matters. B. Matching fonts, layouts, and store locations. C. Presence of customer signatures. D. Verifying pricing discounts applied. Correct answer. B. Matching fonts, layouts, and store locations. Explanation. Fake documents often have subtle mistakes like incorrect fonts or wrong boutique details. Authenticators must know genuine formatting to spot forgeries. Question 30. What is the main reason blockchain technology is promising for luxury goods authentication? A. It allows multiple edits to ownership history. B. It provides immutable tamper-proof records. C. It reduces production costs significantly. D. It replaces physical product inspection completely. Correct answer. B. It provides immutable tamper-proof records. Explanation. Blockchain's immutability ensures every transfer of ownership or verification record is permanent and secure, helping combat counterfeit goods effectively.